All right, here we go. We're recording. And hi, sister. Yeah, just come in. So with this, not sure if we have anyone new, but the way I usually do this, I'll speak for perhaps first 10 or 20 minutes, and but at any time, if anyone has a question, just open up your mic and divinely interrupt. Especially if I go off on a long sidetrack, if you will. So with that, it has been a long while since I've had an open mic on Telegram, and really, truly, I've been so busy, and this is the explanation for it. And not only because I was so busy, also because divinely, I was not to several times. It's always been in my consciousness, in my mind, at least once a week, to have an open mic discussion on here on Telegram to keep also connected with you all. That especially if you're not on Facebook and if you're just on here, you don't just see everything that I put out on Facebook because also there's when I have lives there. I believe we got a lot of it here, but nevertheless, it's good to connect with you all here, and truly, I enjoy um, this this way of communicating with all of you brothers and sisters in an open mic discussion. That facility is not on Facebook to this degree and capacity yet, so I enjoy this better. And so, having said that, I believe I'll get into. I put out a post yesterday, and it also was on here to remind everyone with what's occurring in your reality. It's important to take more notice of it. And when you're seeing little, for example, heart rocks, heart leaves, put more emphasis on that as being a divine message, a divine connection, and let it take you deeper into the expanse of your consciousness, but also your connection with all that is, with creation. And one of the reasons why this is so important, and to constantly do it is because you're able to maintain a higher creational divine connection. And by doing this, it's always then in your energetic imprint, in your energetic imprint, your aurora, aura will also have it programmed into your energetic field. And when it's programmed in there, then you will attract more likenesses to more magical things and more divine things. So I wanted to touch on that. For example, again, there's a widespread belief that there are satellites in the skies, and yet, yes, there are. However, at times, if you see a white light moving across the sky, that looks like a star uh, or looks like a plane, but if you hear no sound, it's not a plane. So then usually the human logic will jump to that it's a satellite. However, the divine logic, if you will, says no, that is a ship because I have the multi-dimensional proportions and capability to reshape reality. And we want to reshape reality to the highest. So, with that, when you see a moving star, if you will, in the sky, it's good to immediately just identify it as a ship. And what you'll begin to see just by doing that practice and then say, that's a ship, I'm going to watch it. What you will see more times than enough, you'll see it begin to zigzag, and You can also see it at times do 90-degree turns, which is absolutely impossible for a satellite. And it's then when you also get further confirmations that all of these lights are not satellites, if you will, that they are actually ships, and also you will begin to see them at least flash dull and bright with white light, but also you'll get flashes of white light pulses that will come from it. And you also can see at times where it depends upon the individual. You can see it start having red and green flashing lights, and of course going into blue and more, and also up to the rainbow spectrum that the Merkaba stationary, mostly stationary Merkaba ships, stars in the sky have. And these Merkaba ship stars that flash mostly the 7 different colors of the rainbow. As ones of you watch those, you will know that they are not stars, that they are actually ships as well, and you will see them move up, down in a circular pattern, or even relocate across the sky. And again, uh, so I wanted to bring those examples up because what you want to be creating is the new beautiful reality. And by attuning your focus, your intent in your heart, and your focus in your energy towards making everything divine and magical, you do enhance your reality, and you open up more of that divine channel to even do more of it. But also importantly, it begins to recalibrate your energetic field so that you are more adept, more ready, and more accessible to the higher fifth dimensional timeline, but of course, the other dimensions, even above that, into the divine proportions. So, what you're actually doing is, again, you are enhancing your electromagnetic field that you have to format and fit in to the higher dimensional realities. Again, so it is so important in this ascension for ones to continuously do that, no matter what, even if it is an actual scientific explanation for what you see, what you're seeing. Don't let that limit you. Turn it into the highest anyway, because it does affect reality and creation. And this is one way we create more magic in this reality while we're waiting, if you will, and to quell some of the boredom. So that is one important message I had to put out yesterday from Father to get ones to strengthen their alignment with the ascension. And what I just spoke about is one of the ways to do that, to keep you streamlined, and it narrows your path of variation, meaning you're not distracted so much by uh, the logical world in this physical realm, and you're able to quickly transition and transform the physical material realm to fit and to come into alignment with your ascending reality. So, very important. Father put that out. Also, Sister Nya reminded me just a bit ago from Father yesterday for everyone as well. Bring in your ships closer, put some more focus on your ships, and bring them in closer to Earth right now. Just unmuting a few more. Bring them in closer in the atmosphere, whatever you're guided to do, wherever you're guided to. put them, bring them into this earth realm so they can be seen at least by more, but also importantly to be seen by you to instill more of the confirmation of your co-creator abilities and also your assignments and connections to the galactics and even the different galactic delegations that you may be. And I use the plural with this because you're not limited to one galactic delegation. Like you're not just Pleiadian. You're many, and you need to know this. You can be Arcturian, Syrian, whatever is the common names out there, but also unknown um, galactic delegations and identities that are constantly being revealed individually to ones as we go forward, and of course, new galactic identity names, labels arising out of that. And again, quickly, everyone needs to realize you're a soul that has existed for all times. You have incarnated in many different worlds and dimensions, and so your actual incarnation timeline is very vast as well. And I believe I can say the word unlimited as it was in the past and even more to come. So it's important, yes, to as part of your memory as well, that to get to identify with your galactic aspects and to it's great to keep those constantly refreshed as well, because as we enhance and accelerate, I'm going to say accelerate through the ascension, so we'll all create it if we get it done quicker, more of your divine galactic gifts also come online. So it's good to keep these higher dimensional knowings and feelings constantly refreshed and active in your consciousness through the day as much as you can. So again, it's empowering to do so, and of course, it expedites, accelerates the ascension the more that we have our brothers and sisters doing this as a collective, conjointed effort. Um, I see a lot, there's so many beliefs out there, and beliefs are oriented um, for certain stages of one's development and consciousness evolution. And, at times it's not to demean other beliefs and levels of truth, but at the same time, it's to deliver the understanding for ones, not to get encapsulated into any belief, because that's where restriction begins. You need to keep the open mind, as everyone knows, and keep objective as possible with the inner knowing that truth changes as you go forward. And also, the beliefs will change and evolve. So, you don't want to limit yourself or hinder or restrict yourself by just having one belief. And it's good, of course. Well, the one belief is the connection to Mother and Father God, which is so important because that is your direction in your alignment out of this world. And really, without that direction belief and just thinking that you are the God or goddess separated from the main Godhead, well, that doesn't get you very far, because if you're the God and goddess in this physical realm, if you will, then you kind of keep yourself here, keep energizing the same things. So you want the direction out of this matrix, out of this realm. And this is one of the ways, that you can do it and that you do it. So you want that direction, and for I openly, as I state, there is a much higher supreme being than I, and I'm laughing because I've been shown this many times, and well, I know who and what I am, and I'm sharing this not from a state of human ego, but from the divine ego and the importance of that. But what I truly need to say, there is a supreme conscious entity, superior beings, Mother and Father God. And, this is very real. So I share it openly with all, and I know that if not all of you here, many of you do also know and believe this and have had your own experiences. So it's important to keep that. That is one of your lifelines, if you will, your divine lifeline, your connection to Mother and Father God out of this reality as well. So, what I need to touch on, what I see, we have in the New Age beliefs, if you will, just so many different variations as well. But I also need to say that there is the actual resistance, the darkness that ones are contending with here on a constant, somewhat constant basis. And with the darkness and the evil themselves, it is true that they were the masters of illusion, and they create many false narratives and concoctions to serve a purpose to keep ones astray. And again, this is why I put more of the emphasis back on the direction Mother and Father God. Keep your faith and trust in that, and know that you are a spark of the prime creator source, Mother and Father aspect. Because again, once you do that, it's a tractor beam, if you will, that keeps you connected to source, and we get out of this crazy purgatory, lower dimensional realm. So with the beliefs, again, it's important to be open and ready to throw beliefs, old beliefs away, and shed them and emerge into the new. Don't be afraid to take the new steps in to the new knowledge when it's time, and remain objective. And again, one of the old adages is only a fool thinks they know it all. And with that, I proclaim myself well endowed with divine knowledge. Yet, there are some things that, as we progress, that I need to learn for myself, because it becomes a common theme that is current at a certain time. And I need to get into the belief and the energetics and experience of it, uh, whereas I am the label an Ascension teacher, to be able to speak about it and purvey it on that level of consciousness that it is perceived from as well. So it's better for I to identify with it. One of the most yucky things we've been doing there, and with Sister Nya and others, we don't like to, dip so down into the false, artificial uh, legal systems and matrix. But importantly, we had to go down into that, and that has taken a lot of divine time recently. But with us, time doesn't matter when you're immortal and you live forever. So we just got to do what we got to do, and get through it. But again, it's not about uh, I or Sister Nya and the children going down in it. It is about the effects that it has with this overall ascension, and assisting other moms and children worldwide to raise up out of that, to uh, to cut off those chains of fear that they have, and know that it's time to rise and make a stand and join their brothers and sisters in this great divine solidarity on the way to every individual's full independence upon earth. And with the divine society we are creating, where no longer any of these man made artificial laws are acceptable. And, for the most part, all of the artificial laws, man made artificial laws, will be thrown away. The main core foundation of law itself uh, is the principles and fundamental human rights, if you will, that has been written and seeded here on Earth, um, with a general guideline of what to respect in others, and what to have activated in yourself, and what is acceptable as a humane, loving, peaceful, um, oriented society, and what is not acceptable. So that is very important and becoming more prominent as we go forward. And having said that, over the course of the last few weeks, I mentioned in an update with time, maybe 2 weeks or a month ago, or perhaps longer, I'd mentioned that many would be subjugated to the artificial laws, the legal systems, as part of your divine mission, to begin to interject more light in there and to dissolve that old belief system and that restrictive system that others would listen to as an authority, because again, each is gaining their God sovereign freedom and rights and independence, and it's not for another, especially an artificial man-made legal system, to restrict the other's intrinsic rights and to control. So it is being set up for the mutual respect worldwide, and there are the roles that are played by at least some of you to that effect. So if you get challenged in a legal system or what have you, in a court or what have you, realize it's not about you being targeted. It's actually about you being the light and being uh, subjugated to that experience to assist in not accepting it and breaking it down. And this is also the reason why, unjustly, that is why your experiences are like that, and that it's crazy with the laws and the belief systems that are associated with those restrictive artificial man-made laws. Because again, your role, at least part of it, for whomever it may be here, is to break that down. And there is no longer the status quo, and it cannot go forward in this great time with uh, the old government arena. Is political arena is also not part of the future. That enslavement and slavery and suppression and oppression, it is eradicated here to create the new world going forward. It's not that you jump out of it and are in a new world, unless we have enough to create the actual flashpoint. And we've attempted the flashpoint last November and again this March, and yet the energetic light quotient was not enough to create a flashpoint. We had contamination and infiltration into the unity of the light that has caused, if you will, some separation. Nevertheless, in the big scheme of things, everything is written to this effect. It's all to the most degree, the big things are written in to the timeline, and they are put there because these obstacles need to be uh, overcome and replaced with the higher light experiences, and that is done through the subjugation of each to these yucky obstacles, if you will. And again, I divinely had to get into this as well, and we don't like it. However, to move the mountains, this is how we move them. We have to know who we are and trust fully in that and have the full faith. And also to know you're not alone here at doing that. You have your big ground crew of brothers and sisters, everyone at a different level in the process, more so now because we have so many subsequent waves of consciousness that are evolving forward. And because everyone is intermingling to some degree, at times it can get a little bit confusing. And when you need to just take a time out, of course, do that in nature and the pine trees with these humanoid vessels sets off such a great pacifying chemical reaction, if you will, in the body as well. So it's great if you have a pine forest to go to. It's elevated and whatever else you're guided to when you need a little sit out time, a little reprieve. Uh, and again, no, you're not alone. We have the huge ground crew here. We have the huge sky crew, galactic crew, which includes your ships, your connections to your ships, and the heavenly realms, the divine realms, which also includes uh, at the top of it, if you will, at the top of the divine pyramid, uh, Mother and Father God. So So it's again important to know you're not alone with this. If anyone does have a question at any time, you just put up your hand. You'll find it on your mic settings. And if maybe I'll stop for a moment. Is there any questions there? Because I think I've gone much more than 20 minutes. Any questions or comments?
Hi, Rick. This is Bridget. I don't know if you can
Hey,
hear me.
I hear you well, Bridget. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's interesting you mentioned that about trees. And so personally, since I was a kid, I have always felt very connected to trees and communicating. And what I've noticed lately is the chatter from the trees, and they're not all pines. Unfortunately, I live in a place where the trees are very different. But I'm right now in South Carolina, and the trees are much nicer. But anyways, they're getting louder and almost. I feel a sense of protection, not necessarily to me, but I feel it with me, but I feel like it's more than me. Um, and almost like having dreams about them, like in they're old trees, they're like wise trees. I'm not sure what the message is, but there's a shift. I've seen a shift. And and really you can go up to a tree with leaves, and I'm seeing more and more that just standing there in the present moment, totally at peace and connection with them, that they do start moving their leaves more than I've seen in the past. So is something shifting with Mother Earth, that they're talking more, they're communicating more.
Absolutely, Bridget, and thank you for bringing up this important topic. Absolutely. Uh, to begin with this, everyone needs to understand and accept uh, that the energetic values of Gaia's electromagnetic field, as well as your own, but also the plant kingdom and animal kingdom, bird kingdom as well is being enhanced and upgraded because once again we are enhancing the divine connections with all things good. And of course, the plants are beautiful. They don't attack anyone. They're very beautiful and good and in alignment with the ascension. And as we go forward and enhance the reality. Not only is your reality and your experience enhanced in your abilities and your connection with Mother Nature, which includes the trees, not only is that enhanced, but what you're seeing is the feedback from the actual plant kingdom, if you will, itself, where it is also being enhanced and prepared for the new fifth dimensional Earth. And so, with this, thank you so much because it is very true. And I also, as a result of you sharing this, it is giving me more knowledge on what is occurring on the planet as well that I can bring up and to share with others. So, this is also an example of where yes, at the soul level, we know everything. At the soul level, I know everything, but yet there are new things that I need to know to share with others as well. And this is a great update on that, knowing
Okay.
that that connection has been enhanced and is increasing.
Okay. Great. Well, then I have one more thing. Can you hear me okay? Because I'm in a
Yes,
hotel, like in the connections spotty. So the other thing, and this isn't a personal feeling, but I feel it, is that recently, again, this is very recent, I'm feeling a sense of profound sadness. This is not about anything that, my own personal work. It's like an overall feeling. And I happen to be somewhere where there's a beach in South Florida, like in South Carolina. And just even walking, um, not only were there a lot of jellyfish beached, and it was just, I've never seen it. So many, it was like an army just all over the beach that have been, that aren't alive anymore. But it wasn't that. It was just like this whole sense of sadness. And so I wonder if, and you would know more, is something about to happen that's, it's like a detach an observation, but a feeling of this sadness that I have never had before.
I
Okay.
absolutely. The first thing, this is indicative of your great gifts and your empathy, also enhancing beyond proportions in the past. When we look at this, you're on a beach, but let's first look at a geographical area, and I'll go to an extreme. When one becomes empathic, there could have been a 1776 battle somewhere's near where you're at. But when one becomes, and it left a negative energetic imprint, and when one becomes empathic, you could just be strolling through the woods, and all of a sudden, as an example, you'll feel this dense, dark, sad, even perhaps a fearful energy. And what it is the dispositioning of the energetic imprint into the actual Gaia, into creation. The memory imprint stays there in that specific ground in that area. So when
Mm,
we, hey, Birdie, when we go quickly to let's jump back now and look at the beach. And, the beaches on the east coast of the US, more so the south, are very amazing. But in this time of great despair and dismay and confusion and, yes, darkness in the US, there are many troubled souls. And especially when you look at South Carolina and all of in North Carolina, and that, well, right down to Florida, actually, all of the flooding. So what you also have, which is conglomerating together, is when you have the floods inland, all the rivers lead, on the close to the coast at least, lead to the ocean. So what you have is an associated fear, which is imprinted onto the waters, and also a sadness because there were uh, many ascended. I don't want to say lives lost in especially the Carolinas, but I will say ascended because that is what occurred. But the ones left behind also have the great sadness, if you will, and bereavement that
Mhm.
is associated with it. And that is an energetic deposit. Now, when you look at the beach too, uh, for example, ones will generally, yes, they love to go to nature, but also they're called to go to beaches. And when you look at the composition of the ground or the sand, if you will, it's crystalline. Uh, and when you have a sad one that goes to the beach, it's much easier to, um, what's the word, to shed some of your negativity into the actual crystalline,
Mhm.
especially in this time because the humanoid vessels are also becoming more active in their crystalline proportion. So when you have more of a likeness within the individual, but they still may be going through the processes of fear and dense emotions, they are more apt to leave a um, higher impression into the beaches. But also, you have the fear association with the water.
Mm.
Um, so
Okay.
with that, yes, yes, you can feel this, and this is very important, for any wherever you may be, to recognize what this is. It's not yourself. When you
Mhm.
encounter these dense energies, so you know that it is from the collective or an energetic imprint that is there in the geographical location itself. So then you begin to change your perspective and entertain more of what that is, and then it expands your consciousness and your abilities more, and also it activates more of your internal uh, understanding of how creation works and how you have the ability to change and to transmute the energetic imprints. So the empaths, if you will, are powerful co-creators, and the reason you're actually able to feel the energies is the dense energies is because you have the full capacity, full divine capacity and ability to transition these energies to the positive. And again, that's part of the light work that every light worker, one ascending, does to some proportion. So
Okay. Thank
yes,
you.
you're jumping back to the trees just for a moment, because also, as I know some of you, another thing and what I love to do with the trees, just to share when I'm called to, is they have the memory of whatever occurred there around them during their life. If you got a 150-year-old oak, it has 150 years of memory that you're also able to access the tree's memory to see what the tree saw as well. Now, this
Mhm.
might sound a little bit higher or extreme, but what I wish to say is all of you have that ability, and the more you focus on it and believe in it, the more you develop it as well. And what I can say, it becomes very beautiful, and I'm laughing because certain times I'm told to touch a certain tree, and boom, then it opens up like a TV screen, if you will, of one guy, a uh, horse in a cart. I forget the year. I think it was 1853 or 57, maybe. I'd seen that there was a road by this huge old I think this was a pine tree. I just forget, but I had to look at the tree, and because I said, "Wow, like that's a couple hundred years ago or almost." And but when I looked at the girth of the tree, the diameter of it, yes, it was huge. So then I said, "Oh, so this tree is, a couple hundred years old," and it had a lot of history. But with the divine work I was doing at that time, I just had to see back at that year because it had to do with some mining, and some of the mining began to disrupt the Gaia's energetic ley line system. Even though it was minute, it was the beginning of a huge disruption in that area that resulted in perhaps there's a mine still operating there today. And again, just for my information, but again, just to share, yes, very important. Did that answer everything, Bridget?
Yes, it did. It was great answers. It's good to know. I just with that sadness, I was just feeling, and it's something near that's going to happen on our timeline. That's so. Yes, you clarified that a lot for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, yeah, there are things near, as I said, and I put out a few weeks or a month ago. Um, it's already begun, the oceans rising, and what we could experience with this ascending timeline is an increase in the world's oceans to about 100 meters is a possibility, what I was given by Father to put out. I think maybe a couple weeks ago I had to mention that, and that is important, and that was put out as a friendly gesture from Father for ones that are thinking of relocating to, uh, let's just say, stay a little ways away from the coast, and you want to get positioned in a little bit higher elevation and better area as well. Because also most of the world's cities are rated, not very high above sea level, and uh, let's say a lot of them, the biggest part of them, are below the 100-meter level. And with this great cleanse, what is occurring worldwide, and no one, don't go in any fear with this, because it's not fully what you think, what occurs. Each one of you are safe in your sanctuary of truth and faith and knowledge of the ascension and what you are, and you are divinely guided where you need to be at any time. So there is not to be any fear with this, but it's to be the knowledge of what is occurring, and also the destruction of the beast system. As you know, the cities, with Father wants to say much fornication, he just put in there, with the cities, everything that occurs in there, those are actually beast centers, which is part of the beast system. And a lot of that is, let's say, not part of the new world. And again, like through, let's say through the existence of Gaia with civilization after civilization, when it had failed, more or less to keep it simple, there would be a flood, if you will, to some degree. And, this is not talking off of the top of my hat, meaning that you have archaeological and scientific proof and evidence of underwater towns, buildings, cities, roads, pyramids, even in the Gulf of Mexico, several hundred meters under the ocean. And also, I love the example of in Peru, I think it's 2 kilometers or 2 miles up in the mountains, an abandoned, advanced used to be a port, and there's seashells up there, and a quay that was made out of, let's say, some sort of a cement. But for that to be, 2 kilometers or 2 miles up above sea level, it is also another important evidence and proof of past civilizations. And of course, the actual history of the planet is not as it's depicted and portrayed. And again, in the times of the Great Cleansing, and especially in this time, uh, Gaia's geographical um, existence is also undergoing great change. Now, while the waters may rise in somewheres, also out of the waters, new lands uh, will emerge as well. And, one example of this was off of the northeast coast of Australia, I believe. As a result, a new island was formed. More so recently appeared out of nowhere as a result of volcanic activity underwater, but also, I believe, some sand deposition that somehow come to create the island. So, as new lands are also created as well. So again, it's important for all not to go into any fear, to observe and to know what is going on. And again, Prime Creator, if you will, has taken things into his and her hands to the degree that these floods, wildfires, quakes, tornado vortexes, a lot of these things are divinely orchestrated, but it's also to be known that it is the result of humanity, their actions, and also their beliefs that is also causing great turbulence, energetic turbulence, which also gets everything is energy, and it gets generated into things like tornadoes, especially in the US, what we have seen uh, with that. So there is a combination. Things are intentionally, divinely occurring, but not to harm anyone. And there's also the result of the resistance, darkness. At times they contribute to some degree of the natural disasters, if you will, use that word. And also, more importantly, it's the energetics of the human souls that have great fear yet, that the more they get pressured and go into fear, the more unstable the energetic environment on Earth becomes, and it begins to create and amplify hurricanes, cyclones, tornadoes as well. And in this great time of transitioning, it's ones like us that are to be here to keep things at least stable so that it doesn't get very chaotic with all of the energies that are moving entirely around Gaia, and also with our uh, fifth dimensional uh, white light grid. What we are also uh, have established for the most part to um, absorb your present reality into that peaceful uh, fifth dimensional reality and civilization for humanity out of this savage structure, savage world they're already in. So again, you can assign a purgatory, which is the top level of hell, to your current reality. And we're getting purgatory acclimatized to the degree that it's eradicated of all of the evil and the ones are ready to rise into the heaven on earth scenario. So, with all of this, it is actually true. And, I see sometimes ones say, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. But in reality, when you look at this, every belief system is a form of religion. So spirituality would fall into that category as well, even though ones would not associate it in that manner, which is fine. But I need to go this way because I need to pinpoint what has been written in religions. It has been seeded in there, and also the knowledge of this time. If you're to, even though religious texts have been infiltrated and manipulated to a degree, there are still very important, prominent truths that can be referenced and are found in there. And you can quickly, anyone that is objective and of a reasonable mind can very quickly associate anything what is occurring now directly to what was written long ago. And the thing is that because it was written long ago and because many believed it, it's not really a result of them creating it. It is the prophecy to the extent of what it was, so everyone was prepared, at least to the degree and proportions that they needed to also not be as foolish to throw everything away and recognize the guidance written in such things as the Quran or the Bible and indigenous prophecy. It does have value, and every day it's becoming more accredited as an actual truth. But with that, again, is the guidance that it brings, and it puts the focus on the individual. If we look at the Bible, if you will, the Great Awakening has been mentioned in there in different ways and different forms throughout millennium. And you can reference the awakening, waking uh, in books of Isaiah, Matthew, John, for example. So it is prevalent and seeded through the Bible. But also with that, when it gives you about these end times or in the beginning of the new, it also shows the importance of doing the inner work that is even written, if you will, in the Bible 2,000 years ago. The purity is so important. And hey, guess what? What you see now in the new age and in the awakened ones is the acceptance and understanding of doing that inner work and recycling all of the old demeanor into a purified state of integrity, honesty, sharing, compassion, love, and peace. So again, what I say is that it has been seeded with this, the things to do to purify the vessel, and you know, yes, a lot of things were written metaphorically, but a lot of things were also written as common sense with the core values and how important it is for everyone to stand in them. So these are the basis and the fundamentals. Things are written for the individual per the divine instructions of what to do and how to prepare yourself. And you have to prepare yourself and with changing the ways to the goodest, the best, and the highest version always. It's paramount. It's and what is occurring now. And the more that does this and are serious with it and don't bypass or surf above it, actually do the work right in the heart center, the more that does this and purifies, uh, it is connected to the collective brothers and sisters. And by having this pure divine orientation through purifying your energetic field, we create a flashpoint or create the heaven on earth much quicker, if you will, once everyone is aligned to it. And with the metaphysics, more common in the esoterics of the New Age concepts and beliefs as well. It is also in there the importance of energy and how it works, and also your ability to change things. You have the choice at any given moment at what energy or emotion you wish to amplify. And to put it bluntly, it is not to your benefit if you energize anger, aggression, frustration, impatience, sadness, even sympathy. It is not to your benefit because those are all fear founded emotions, which are the opposite of the love based emotions. So you wish to program your energetic field to the highest capacity of all of the good things that you have associated your belief with. What are good things? Good things are love, compassion, sharing, peace, abundance, freedom, joy, seeing everyone happy. So you want to replace those old belief systems that you had to have. You had to have those to be positioned in to the lower reality and even levels of hell that each of you had to go through. And when you visited your dark night of the soul, you had to go very deep when you descended so that you knew what was wrong and you got that energetic knowing instilled within your heart and in your energetic field, that repulsion, that it is not in alignment with what you are, and it's not in alignment with the world, and it's not in alignment with where we're going. But it also indicates to you that because it's not in alignment, it needs to be changed. And it's up to each one individually to begin with your inner work to change that so that you are not energetically populating reality with all of these negative energetic values that actually keeps hell and purgatory intact. So it is the process. But again, it's written, it has been seeded. So really and truly, I see one's going away um, with having different perspectives, not believing in, let's say, a God or a supreme being, and having different denominations of beliefs of what is actually occurring. But again, I bring everyone, you've got to come back to Mother and Father God, the Godhead, the source, and your connection to that. But also, you need to understand that ascension occurred first in the Bible. Your ascension would not be possible today if you did not have that foundational knowledge that it was possible. It would not be in your perception at all or your perspective to know that you could ascend. So it's been seeded and planted long ago, as well as with the Christ and the Sophia within the Gnostic teachings that was kept out of play, which is now coming back with the Mary Magdalene and Sophia to stand beside the Christ. But again, when you look at Christ consciousness, what one's referenced now, how would you ever have that without the Christ being the original example and it being written for you? So when you begin to entertain a little bit more depth, you will actually see that the schematic, the blueprint, the guidelines are already here for you in the instructions, and it becomes each one's individual responsibility or role to the degree to understand and follow that. And there are times with ones when they'll say something doesn't resonate, they'll use that as a guidance mechanism to turn them away from it. Now, very importantly, you need to discern what is the feeling that's associated when something doesn't resonate. Is it a fear feeling? Because if it's a fear feeling, you need to be objective. And if something doesn't resonate, you really need to go deeper to activate that divine discernment to see, is it an actual fear that's preventing you from reading something or looking at something or evaluating something objectively? Or is it an actual divine guidance mechanism just to tell you not to go in that direction? And I need to bring this up because there are times, a lot of times, when I assist ones and I customize in it, I will see and evaluate where they're at in their process. And when I know they can trust their feelings, then sometimes I'll say, we don't want to keep it complicated from here. Follow your feelings and trust them. But there are some other times when I evaluate ones, very rarely, I will need to say, you've got to overcome, you have to master these feelings. You cannot trust them because these feelings are fear based and they will orient you further into unnecessary fear. So you need to hone and sharpen your divine discernment with this so that you are not hindered and restricted by fear notions and actions again. So it's a fine line with this, with your resonance. So all I say, each individual, just check if something is not resonating with you. Is it an actual guidance or is it a blockage to accepting more of a higher truth? And if one says they may not be ready for it, but I say no, in this ascension, you have to have that blind faith and trust. Without that, you become stagnant. You have to be able to venture outside of your realms of comfort. You have to lower all of those shields and barriers that you have because it's in the full nakedness of vulnerability that you realize your full power and how to proceed forward in this reality more empowered to what you actually are, with nothing holding you back and definitely no chains like a non resonance holding you back either. And also, throw with this right now in this important time, do not let humility restrict you. What is known as human humbleness, there comes a point with ones that you must rise above this, meaning do not let it limit nor restrict you, that you must speak your divine identity, your divine ego. You must be the beacon of light. That is your divine role for others to see. And if you humble yourself and do not share the divine truths and abilities, the divine truths that you are receiving, and the divine abilities that you have, if you are contained within the humbleness in the closet, no one ever sees you. And you have these important divine gifts and the divine ego because it's part of your identity and your role to play here to assist others by being the beacons of light. So it's not, what I've just said again is not to diminish anyone. It's to further look and evaluate also yourself, what is restrictive, so that you can master it and let it go and raise up. And as those chains fall off, you feel your wings spreading wider and wider, your divine honor and dignity and your divine power and authority in all the good ways. It's perfectly fine to have a divine authority because that is a disciplined, purified, divine authority that you have that does not create harm or project harm upon another. It is with that divine ego that has the great understanding, compassion, and knowing and love to assist ones, and also in extreme times to have mercy as well. Whoa, that was quite a preaching there. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I have experiences.
Please share, Andrea. I enjoyed the book.
Hi, Rick. A long time no hear.
Go ahead, sister.
So, with what you're saying, it really resonates with me. When I was on Vancouver Island and that panther came around, the fear spirit, and I faced it. And then after that, I'm going to the ocean. I'm walking on the beach and have this brain fart. Like it's kind of I know it's like that because it's like thinking about snuffleupagus kind of stuff, right? And it was John the Baptist came to me. And I'm walking along this, and it was just this memory of childhood. I went, "Where have you been? John, where have you been?" Like nobody talks about John. And I felt very close, and I felt compelled to go to the ocean. And I used to sip a little bit of it when I went there. And I just felt like to put it over me. I didn't question it. It was just so magnificent. And then I left the island. And Rick, I hit my trials and tribulations, man. And I chose to be in a homeless shelter. And I was outside of the homeless shelter after being there for months. And I don't want to repeat what I seen. And I heard, lay down your sword. And I heard that, and I heard that over and over again. I didn't know what it meant. And then this feeling of, I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to fight. I can step back. And I laid down my sword. And then Magdalene came to me. And I got to feel mercy. She came to me on the island in a dream when I was in that dragon school that I spoke to you about before. And I remember saying to her, "Am I you? Are you me?" And she said, "Yes." And there was this energy of just clarity and mercy that washed over me that it just makes me want to keep going. I don't know what's next, but these things, these sayings just came up during the most beautiful. Other deities have come, Isis, Egyptian, Palladians, but recently this beautiful divine motherly energy is giving it to me so I can give it to others. And I just want to say that being vulnerable and scared, hopeless at the same time, and talking about my fear spirit and the sacral chakra, there's still healing going on and stuff like that. However, that's happened within almost a year. So I thought I'd share. Feels good.
Yes. Thank you so much, Andrea, for that. And so importantly, again, and as a result of what you were sharing, it brought up for me to comment within all belief systems worldwide, they need to evolve as well. So one of the one of a very common denominators, if you will, is the Egyptian beliefs, as well as what Sister Andrea has said, and it's mostly in the past it has evolved with this, but also when one is associated with, when it comes in their awareness, let's say Buddhism, to go to Tibet or Egypt, and to go there with some of the Coptic uh, Christianity, but also the evolution of the Egyptian beliefs over time. It is important for one to note when you're called to go to these places, it also means you're a divine delegate to evolve the belief system. So what occurs is that you energetically connect with it, to be one with that belief system to the degree that you need to be, but where you carry uh, that in your energetic imprint, you also evolve it as you move forward. And in this great time of ascension, it is the uh, convergence, if you will, of all of the major belief systems worldwide into the one simple belief in Mother, Father, God, what takes us all forward, if you will, to keep it simple. That is the shortest point between A and B, and all of the variations of the different beliefs are very real as well, uh, to everyone that is in them. But also, all beliefs are evolving, and they need to, and they will, and they are converging. So you brought that a very important point up, which is beautiful, in your vulnerability of just letting everything go that occurs with individuals, and of course, more so with the more impactful individual with their divine contribution to reality and the ascension. They will undergo great extreme rejections, from the old, and they'll be subjugated to all of these very lesser dense experiences, because they need to have that experience to imprint it in the energetic field so that we change it. So, yeah, this is great. Anyone else wish to add anything at this time? If not, I had a couple more points down. I'll just touch on those, and then we can open it up for more questions and some comments. One thing I need to say with the artificial intelligence, the AI, what ones can also perhaps accept is that it's fourth dimensional technology, meaning that any negative connotations it can have in this reality now, ones need to also appreciate that the multidimensional divine co-creators are more powerful than any negative connotations that can go in there. But also, it's important to recognize and to share with others that the AI is not to be idolized. It is a false god, if you will. So don't get caught into that trap. AI is a great tool for to get the information out into advanced ones. But what I wish to say, we also observe what it is putting out. because you don't want to create a dependency of one on an AI and begin to idolize that as the go-to source for information, because what that does, it begins to sever your connection with the source and the ascending source. It's great to use it as a tool in the fourth dimensional realm, but your multi-dimensional tool is your belief that you are a uh, son or daughter, if you will, of Prime and Mother Creator Source. So just to bring that up. So divinely, yes, AI is being consciously, divinely infiltrated to ensure its steering ability going forward, that it is in alignment. However, again, it is that appreciation of all to know that it is only a tool and that you are the power, not it. And it's like any substance, herbal any, not herbal medicine. It's like any tools one's used in the past, like drugs, ayahuasca, alcohol, even marijuana. But these things are only tools, and it comes a time that they must go in one's journey. And one of the last things to go is the second last is the marijuana, because of the effects that it has on the consciousness, but more so, it affects the feminine much more than the masculine, for the simple reason the THC, what is in it, there are transmitters and receptors in the in the feminine, in the creator womb space, where it is very sensitive in there to pick up. The THC has a similar signature as a DMT when in the womb space, and also with the masculine in the consciousness space. But what occurs is that the medicinal plant, marijuana, is currently only at a 4D capacity. You're in a fourth dimensional realm. And if you begin to utilize more of that, while your consciousness has actually gone above the fifth dimensional ability, when ones will continue to smoke marijuana, then what occurs is the consciousness can lower back down quickly and be easier for suppression by outside influences. So organic tobacco is about the last to go, and of course, coffee, if you will, on this journey, but we're not quite there yet. We are at the level where it's necessary for that codependency on marijuana to be broken, because it's hindering the consciousness of certain individuals, and the energetics, especially with the divine feminine. But again, that's to each one's guidance and choice when to let it go. But it needs to be spoken, the seriousness of it as being a hindering factor. Um, so let's see what else. Magnetic and electric anomalies, they are also increasing worldwide as we are upscaling the electromagnetic and magnetic effects of Gaia, of Earth herself. So with this, during this time, it does create a bit of instability within the uh, magnetic and electric ratios, and the energetic ratios. And this is also why it's so much more important for ones to be meticulous also with your energetic output into reality, as so not to amplify some of these smaller vortexes and create them also into tornadoes. So mainly in the U.S. to limit somewhat the tornado activity, it's becoming aware of the energetic impact that is coming from fear from ones as well at this time. But everyone does the best that they can do, and when you feel a lot of fear in U.S. wherever you may be, as a light worker, you quell that energetic fear and transition it. And what this does, it limits the capacity and abilities and strengths of these tornadoes to a degree dependent upon the strength of the light worker or groups that are doing it as well. But to let you know, the same as we have done on Facebook in groups with hurricanes and bringing rains to cover fires and things we have done in the past, which have been documented and very real. So you also have these abilities, and the more you believe in it, the more effective you will be. So magnetic and electric anomalies, not only in Gaia, but also within yourself. And we are upscaling again the electromagnetic energy as a whole to be proportionate to the fifth dimensional reality. So the electromagnetics of Earth as it is right now in your reality, it is sustaining a fourth dimensional reality. We need to upgrade the physics of magnetics and electric to format and fit into a fifth dimensional reality. So during the course of this, there will be magnetic and electric areas on Earth alternating at any given times as we continue to upscale and upgrade the physics of the electromagnetic field. Having said this, it was interesting. I put a post out on Facebook that come up in the feed in the news of a ship in Norway, uh, uh, several hundred meters, 200 or 300 meters, I just forget, had run ashore, bow on by this guy's house. And it's quite a picture, and it is very real. And they're in the news. It is only the beginning, so they really don't know what happened. But they said they rule out alcohol or drug abuse as being the reason why the ship went straight ashore. But you know, it possibly could just be the steering and and what have you, and something with hydraulic controls in the ship. But nevertheless, uh, with that, it is a higher divine indication about the electromagnetic shifting and also the unreliability of any magnetic compass, but also GPS systems worldwide are affected. And the deviation uh, in navigation, if you will, the deviation of the compass orientation at times it can go as much as 90 degrees. So ones also need to be aware of that, and we have I have put that information out at least several years ago when we began to do more of the higher energetic work with the electromagnetic field, because then it begins to affect instruments. And so the warning had went out worldwide, if you will, to the degree that it should have went out for airplanes and what have you, to know that some of their instruments may become unreliable, and also to not have a full uh, codependency on automatic pilots and computerized systems, that they also know uh, the emergency manual operations, if you will. But also, one last thing I got here before we have some questions and comments. Again, I already touched on this, but the 5D ley line grid work that we do is very important and of course very real. And there are many worldwide that contribute to this with their own divine guidance. And um, however, again, an update on that is that we're getting very close. With every time we activate a light node, it affects the forward ascension in good ways, so it benefits everything. And it also, at the same time, where it is the creation of the new, uh, it causes a destruction of the old reality as well, not to the degree of causing natural destruction, but more or less to the degree of creating uh, earthquakes that do not hurt humanity, that are relatively kept below the 4.2 magnitude. And the reasoning for the earthquakes is to open up fissures and cracks for hydrothermal fluids from inside of Gaia to come up. And when these hydrothermal fluids cool, when they get close to the surface, they create the quartz. And the quartz veining closer to the surface then is a stabilizer for the 5D energetic ley lines and to hold them intact and in place, as one example. So, uh, with the update on that, there is more work to do with the primary nodes of the 5D ley lines. There are some more primary nodes to put in place, but the overall integrity of it encompassing Gaia's is intact, and it has been before several years ago. We've had it intact enough then to take Gaia through the energetic ascending timelines, which we're doing. So there is no questioning, there is no disbelief in this. It is actually true what we're doing, and for those of us involved in it, even though we don't need confirmations, we readily see the confirmations that do pop up as artifacts, but also at times when needed, when there's more good things involved as a result of activating these white light nodes, but also the accompanying ley lines that are connected to them, the new ley line system. So, with that, any questions or comments? Well, it's pretty quiet. I'll just check, see if it's anything that I should add here. And if not, we can probably end this pretty soon. And this recording will be here on the channel that anyone can access to listen to it later if you come in late or what have you. And if it resonates with you to listen. One thing I can add here is that there's a tentative timeline, because things change divinely, but it's looking like at this point, uh, by the end of December 31st, actually, that at least at that time, something significant will have occurred or will occur, meaning for the new reality. This old reality cannot continue nor exist. much longer, as everyone feels and knows. But there is, or I don't have all of the information, but it is to be noted, December 31st of this year, this linear year at least. So we could say it's giving us a timeline, but a timeline for what? Because I do not fully know yet what all it entails. So we observe everything what's occurring on Earth, on Gaia, and of course, no fear with that. And and we take everything forward. And again, the left hand doesn't always let the right hand know what it's doing. And in this case, divinity doesn't let the darkness, the resistance, always know what it's doing. The light is always one step ahead of the darkness. We are in the Ascension protocol, which is the priority of what's occurring. So, meaning that everything is divinely ordained. We do persevere with this planetary ascension to whatever divinely that may be. There is, as I will say, there are at times variations. That's why the divine plan can change or take a sudden twist. But overall, with the overall divine plan that has been calculated and included in the overall plan. So it's important not to look at what any negative thing is as a setback, because indeed it's not. It has already, if you will, been programmed to the degree that it's been written into the ascending timelines. There are variable, trivial things that occur that does not impact the overall timeline to any degree. It may waver it a bit, but the overall timeline is straight and narrow. So it is here with it, as everyone can see, and with the multitude of different symptoms and energies everyone's been feeling, everything amplified. What I can say, I see ones out there amazingly using their co-creator abilities to saying the energies are excellent and very powerful, which is good as well to keep that divine stability and incentive up during what is actually an energetic tumultuous time, if you will, up and down and like a roller coaster, to keep everyone grounded to the ascending timeline. That's great. Yeah. So, with that, any closing questions or comments? I got a bunch of chicks. I'll mention this before we go. I keep feeding the beautiful chickadees here peanuts, and so usually was only a few little birds, so I've been given like a handful or two little handfuls a day for them was enough. But then about 2 days ago, I had to put almost 3 times as much out. It kept disappearing. And so this morning I discovered the reason why, or last night actually, I began to see the reason why. Uh, there's many chicks that have hatched and they're up in the trees, and the mums and dad chickadees are coming here getting the peanuts, taking it up to all of these extended family chicks up in the trees. So I was anticipating I only needed to buy lesser and lesser peanuts, but actually that's not the case. My loving family of chickadees has grown, so I'll have to buy more peanuts. But I wanted to share that. It's so beautiful, and to watch the mamas and dads taking the peanuts up into the tree branches to them because they can't fly very well yet. But I watched her teaching them to fly back and forth between trees today. But yeah, so that's a beautiful thing. So we got an extensive chickadee family, which I'm grateful for. At least 3 different types of species or types of chickadees, and we had a beautiful cuckoo. He come here for the closest time yet today that we could actually see him. And well, there's actually 2 here. Sometimes you'll hear the cuckoo go into an extended mating call, and you'll hear his partner. And beautiful stork flew over a while ago, just before I began this, and oh, and a beautiful fox. Yes, for the first time yesterday, I saw him on the property as I was sitting here. Uh, Actually, big guy. So, and we have deer that comes by, and a rabbit, a huge jackrabbit-like guy. So lots of wildlife, frogs, and many things. So it truly is, and fruit trees and beautiful different types of trees. Yeah, this truly is a Garden of Eden. I'm so grateful that Father has positioned us here in Romania at this specific time. And I've been here in this area for almost a year, and Father will not allow me to leave. I'm to stay put right here. And let me say for Rick, I was always ambitious to the point, hey, I like moving around, but it's so important that I remain stationary. So Femke and I are still here in this area, and indefinitely, I need to say. And it's also important for this time because truly we are so close to the end of the old and the beginning of the new. So it's important, our present geographical location. However, with that, what I wish to say is love, light, and gratitude to everyone. And I'll stop recording this.